Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Woke or Worth It. Now, this is a very special edition because Dune Part 2 is finally out. And I'm very excited to actually review this and be able to share my review with all of you. And, of course, review it from a woke or worth it perspective. Now, before we get into the actual review and how worth it this movie might actually be, I just want to take a quick moment to update everyone as to why things are kind of changing on my channel, as well as give you a heads up of things to come. The first thing I want to mention, though, is the intro. I changed the intro because I wasn't really in love with the way my channel was going. I wasn't in love with the fact that I wasn't really growing much. Of course, the supporters that I have, I want to thank for sticking with me for the amount of time that this channel has been active. But I want to be more real. I want to have people get to know me and what it is that I stand for. And quite frankly, I want to, at the end of the day, give a clear picture to everything that I would really like to focus on. So, in that essence, yes, it is no longer the cranium of creativity. It is BA and here to stay. And the BA stands for badass. And I don't mean me necessarily, although I think to a degree I could definitely vouch for myself in that regard. But it's really to anybody who follows the same principles and the same work ethic that I do. And the skull is very representative of that. Now, I can put my face on t-shirts, mugs, hats, what have you, and it wouldn't convey the type of intensity that I feel needs to be conveyed with this channel and with the type of work ethic that I feel believers in this motto, believers in this symbol really need and really want. I do plan on monetizing this design and putting it on shirts, as well as putting on some logos that I do feel people need. People need something to follow. And what it really is believing in yourself. It means putting forth a type of intensity of effort that only you can put forth for yourself. It's not about being the hardest worker in the room, because there's always someone who may overwork you. It's about putting your own best foot forward, knowing that you're putting your best foot forward and shattering expectations. One of the people that I admire most in life, outside of my dad, of course, is the WWF personality Stone Cold Steve Austin. Back in 1997, when he nearly had his career ended because of a botched wrestling move, and the fact that he was able to bounce back from that and claw and scratch his way to the type of popularity that he had, that's something completely admirable and something that I was fully influenced by, and something that I guess in my own way I want to carry forward. So yes, the skull symbol is very reminiscent of what he carried and what he believed in. Everybody associates DTA, don't trust anybody, with him. I think what I associate with him, though, is just that hard work pays off. And of course, the Woke or Worth It series should give you an indication as to some of what my beliefs actually are. And I will get into that into a later video. But more than anything, I want people who believe in hard work to understand that that's what that skull symbol truly represents. If I put my face on a t-shirt, that's not going to mean much to you or anybody else. But if I put a symbol on that t-shirt, and that's something that you feel you can wear proudly, it's because you know that you're a hard worker, and you know that you're going to put forth some effort into your dreams, you're going to put forth some effort into your goals, and you're going to work your ass off to achieve everything that you want to. So with that, welcome everyone to a very special edition of Woke or Worth It. I've been looking forward to this release for a long time, and I hope that you enjoy this review. One last thing, I like doing off-the-cuff, candid comments like this as opposed to full read-offs of scripts and whatnot, which of course is why I like to use an AI voice for full reviews like this. But when it comes to off-the-cuff stuff, when it comes to making comments on world events and things of that nature, it will be me making candid comments and not reading from anything. So please enjoy this very special edition of Woke or Worth It.
Dune Part 2 Review and Woke-o-meter Rating. Review Summary. Dune, Part 2 is a slow-burning visual masterpiece with a perfect score and excellent acting. However, fans of the novel will notice some completely unnecessary changes that rob the narrative of some significance. That said, Dune, Part 2 remains an epic that is worth the price of admission. The Dune novel series, created by Frank Herbert, debuted in 1965 with the publication of Dune. Set in a distant future where noble houses vie for control over the desert planet Arrakis, the series blends elements of science fiction, politics, and religion. Dune quickly became a classic of the genre, spawning numerous sequels written by Herbert and later expanded upon by his son, Brian Herbert, and co-author Kevin J. Anderson. The series has left a lasting impact on literature and popular culture, with its intricate world-building and exploration of themes like power, ecology, and human potential. Paul Atreides, the last surviving member of the House Atreides, has been taken in by the freemen of Arrakis. Now, he will have to learn their ways and earn his place among them if he is to lead them to freedom and exact his revenge on those who destroyed his family. Dune, Part 2 is a worthy continuation of the saga. With a subtle, almost Kubrick-esque attention to detail, it is one of the most beautifully rendered sci-fi spectacles ever put on screen. Arguably, director Villeneuve's greatest achievement is that of making the epic-scale special effects in an epic-scale special effects-heavy sci-fi film not feel so special. Instead, every set piece, every digitally enhanced landscape, and every prop and costume is made to seamlessly and organically fit together into an unbelievably believable mosaic. If only by virtue of being a 2 hours 46 minutes third act consisting of far more action and far less brooding than Part 1, Dune's already strong performances are marginally improved in Part 2. Javier Bardem, who spent 2022-23 being horribly miscast in films like Lyle, Crocodile, and The Little Mermaid, gives the film's best, if also most woefully underutilized, performance as Stilgar, the Nabe, leader, of Siege Tabor, a northern freeman stronghold and community. Not to be undone, Stellan Skarsgård, as Baron Harkonnen, is unrecognizable, not only thanks to a makeup department that needs must win every award this season, but despite this. Working from beneath a reported 88 pounds of prosthetics, Skarsgård, known for playing Cerebral Man, projects an unmatched sense of loathing and evil. It's a crime against cinema that his part in the film, when compared to that of the book, was reduced to a mere handful of hasty and perfunctory appearances. This is actually Dune, Part 2's chief flaw. Villeneuve and his co-writer, John Spates, Passengers and Prometheus, inexplicably eat up significant chunks of the film, needlessly expanding on the width and breadth of some of the story's least important and least interesting characters in some misguided attempt at making them and their arcs far more important than is needed. In the books, Chani, the Freeman woman played by Zendaya in these films, provides an integral emotional anchor for Paul as he embraces his otherworldly potential and powers. Were it not for her love and grounded support, Paul's future would likely be that of a near-omnipotent despot. However, in Villeneuve's version of events, she is a petulant child who is more interested in being equals with Paul, an impossibility, as he has no equals, than she is in being a crucially important supporting character. In fact, the film often feels at odds with which of the two it wants to be the star, sometimes giving the narrative an unbalanced feel. Equally perplexing is the additional importance and screen time given to Florence Pugh's Princess Irulan. Given a more significant role in later books, Irulan spends the first novel as little more than a narrator and political chess piece. However, in Dune, Part 2, Irulan's role is expanded to that of an important confidant and advisor to her aging and withered father, the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken. Pugh's additional screen time does absolutely nothing to further the plot or enrich the narrative and instead eats up valuable time that could have been spent on deepening the audience's emotional connection to Baron Harkonnen so that his arc's fruition would have been far more viscerally impactful, or to that of Paul and Stilgar's relationship as Paul's isolation increases while those once close to him slowly become worshippers instead of friends. The latter is mentioned in this film on more than one occasion, but it is far less effective than actually watching it happen. Spending time on these unneeded character expansions also robs audiences of one of the novel's greatest and most disturbing characters, that of Paul's sister Alia. While the logistics of portraying a 5-year-old child with the mind of an ancient demigod are such that it's understandable why Villeneuve didn't wish to deal with it, his insistence on depicting the entirety of Paul's growth and ascendancy, as well as his relationship with Chani to have happened within 9 or fewer months, not only precluded Alia's full realization but also removes much of the film's potential gravitas. A final criticism is the nigh lip service paid to Paul's journey. It's not one of a boy becoming a man and a leader but of a born and bred leader coming to grips with a potential and future beyond the scope of mortal imaginings. However, this version of Dune reduces Paul's abilities to the use of the voice a handful of times and some bad dreams. The near exclusion of Dune's inherent mysticism inherently changes the narrative to that of a far more mundane political battle. With all of that said, it is an inescapable fact that a novel adaptation must sacrifice significant subplots and characters in order to fit within the constraints of a film, and those who have never picked up the books will find themselves treated to a visually breathtaking film with slow-burning tension, some superior performances, and a hauntingly perfect score that does more to emotionally penetrate audiences than much of the movie. Despite some licenses taken with the core story that purists will find highly questionable, Dune, Part 2 is an epic conclusion to a grand and overall well-told story. Woke elements. Operation mandated awesome chicks is a go. It almost seemed like there was a directive on set to make certain that no scene was without a secondary or even tertiary female character getting an important moment. Every scene. There are always going to be changes and sacrifices made when adapting a novel to a film. However, some, like expanding Liv Tyler's Arwen in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, serve to enrich the story by raising the stakes for and giving greater depth to Aragorn. Unfortunately, Dune's modification of Chani in particular, as well as 2 other, now, main female characters, serve to needlessly extend Dune, Part 2's screen time and to make Chani appear like a petulant child instead of the strong and fiercely loyal spouse if not in name that she is in the book. It's very subtle, and those who have never read the book wouldn't notice, but Hollywood's need to make all women strong independent types robs Dune, Part 2 of some significant richness. Zendaya's character is needlessly and inexplicably petulant and defiant. It very much feels as though the filmmakers intend to take her character in a completely different direction from that of the book, and I wouldn't be surprised to learn that a Chani spin-off is in the works. There are key moments that happen in both the film and the books that have the full depth of their meaningfulness gutted thanks to the filmmakers' inexplicable need to force the female characters into much more important roles than is warranted. Due to the fact that Villeneuve and crew give almost all of his part to Chani, Stilgar's role as Paul's mentor, closest friend, ally, and surrogate father is reduced in the film to little more than that of a faithful zealot. There is a powerful moment in the book when Paul is forced to make a decision about him that the film neuters into feeling like a political decision, all because of the above. Girls is fragile and mustn't be portrayed as anything less than equal. There's a woke line that comes out of nowhere. Cheney tells Paul that, here, in Freeman lands, we are equal, men and women alike. It comes from out of nowhere and is both a needless rebuke of class structures and patriarchy as well as emblematic of a structural defect in the screenplay. The whole point of Paul is that no one is his equal, yet he must remain grounded in his humanity to avoid becoming a tyrant. In the books, Paul's ability to go where women do not dare is a big deal. In fact, it's the biggest deal. It is the catalyst that transforms him into the Kwisatz Haderach. However, in Dune, Part 2, it's an afterthought that is best not overly considered so as to avoid offending women audiences who can't handle fictional patriarchies. The novel portrays Cheney as pivotal to Paul's ascendancy. She is supportive and helps him both stay centered and focused on this very goal. Yet, in the film, she treats the moment as a betrayal because they are no longer equals after it. Wokemeter rating, 5 out of 10 as the focus on strong, independent women nearly ruins part of the plot in the overarching story of a supporting character who turns out to be less than supportive. Dune Part 2 full plot. Princess Irulan Carino secretly journals that Paul Atreides may still be alive, while her father, Emperor Shaddam IV, is dispirited after promoting the fall of House Atreides. En route to siege Tabron Arrakis, Stilgar's Freeman troops, including Paul and Lady Jessica, overcome a Harkonnen ambush. At the siege, suspicions arise about Jessica and Paul being spies, though some Freemen have faith in them, believing in the prophecy of a mother and son bringing prosperity to Arrakis. Stilgar informs Jessica that their reverend mother is dying, convincing Jessica to replace her by drinking the water of life, a poison fatal for males and the untrained. She transmutes the poison and by doing so, survives and inherits the memories of every female ancestor in her genetic lineage. Unbeknownst to anyone but her and Paul, Jessica is pregnant. The water of life prematurely awakens her daughter's mind before birth. Following this, Jessica has spiritual conversations with Alia in her womb and believes that those in northern Arrakis must be convinced first of the prophecy, starting with the weak-minded. Cheney and her friend Shashakli believe the prophecy to be false, but when Paul makes a speech about not seeking power and wanting only to fight alongside them, Cheney develops respect for him. Paul embraces Freeman ways and learns their language, passing tests like writing a sandworm. He forms a romantic relationship with Cheney, becomes a Fedaykin fighter, and assists raids on Harkonnen spice harvesters, earning the Freeman nicknames Muad'Dib and Usul. 5. Jessica spiritually guides his ascent and thereby fuels the religion in which she has become prominent. Glassa Rabin, whose grip on spice production has been slipping, intensifies raids on the Freeman to please his uncle, the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. His continued failure leads to the Baron making his psychotic, murderous younger nephew Phaedratha Arrakis new ruler. Margot Fenring, a Bene Gesserit acolyte sent by the Reverend Mother Gaius Mohiam, seduces Fade to secure his genes should Paul's bloodline be unsalvageable. Jessica completes her religious quest in the north before traveling south to unite with Freeman fundamentalists. However, Paul fears his visions of a bloody holy war which will ignite if he proceeds south as a messiah. Remaining in the north, he reunites with Gurney Halleck, who joins spice smugglers after the Atreides' downfall and leads Paul to House Atreides' hidden atomic warheads. Fade's troops attack Siege Tab, killing Shashakli and forcing the survivors, including Paul, to journey south, where Jessica learns that the water of life is a liquid excreted by an adolescent sandworm once it is drowned. Against Cheney's wishes, Paul consumes the water of life. He falls into a coma but is reawakened by Cheney with a clearer sense of the past and future, seeing a vision of Alia and realizing the Baron is his maternal grandfather. Southern Freeman leaders hope for Paul to challenge Stilgar for leadership, but Paul denounces this and proves himself by reading Freeman's minds. Finally accepting his messianic destiny, Paul declares himself the Lisan al-Gaib, assuming full power over the freemen and challenging the Emperor, who arrives on Arrakis with Irulan, Mohiam, and his Sardaukar troops. Paul interrupts the Emperor's confrontation with the Baron by launching atomic warheads at Arraki's stronghold fortress. Riding sandworms, the freemen overpower Sardaukar forces and breach Arraki's defenses, during which Gurney slays a fleeing Rabban. Inside Arrakeen, Paul enters the throne room, kills the Baron, and orders the Emperor and others to be transported to the Residency, where he threatens to destroy the planetary spice forever with the remaining atomic stockpiles unless the Emperor surrenders the Imperial throne to him. Phaedratha challenges Paul to a duel as the Emperor's champion, but is killed by Paul. Irulan consents to marry Paul, while the Emperor gives in to Paul's ultimatum by kneeling before his signet ring. Chani, angered by Paul's decision to wed Irulan, leaves the Residency, preparing to mount a sandworm elsewhere. Above Arrakeen, spaceships representing many great houses refuse to accept Paul's ascendancy. As Paul orders his freeman army to lead them to paradise, Jessica and Alia reflect that this is the beginning of Muad'Dib's holy war.